And the topic we're going to be looking at is automation. It's an interesting word, isn't it? Sometimes when we pitch automation technologies to our clients, they immediately think of job losses or restructuring programs. But here, to set the message straight, please welcome Jason.
Hi, everyone. Oh, thank you. Haven't even started yet. Okay, so I want to take you through, this is titled Automate to Eliminate. The only thing I'm interested in eliminating, quite frankly, is Denmark tonight in about 4 hours' time. So looking forward to that. So let's start by looking backwards. This is a 19th century depiction of automation in the workplace. Actually, this is a school. So you can see here, you've got professor throwing books into a machine. He then gets some child to turn the machinery, and then the kids learn literature via these quite scary looking headphones. So this is, in the 19th century, how they thought the year 2000 would look with man and machine working in perfect harmony. And more recently, in 1930, John Maynard Keynes predicted that in the year 2000, we would be working 15-hour weeks. And the two things we would be worried about were how much leisure time we would have and how we would stop getting bored. So it feels to me like we're pretty much there. Possibly not. And then in 2017, something pretty horrible happened. Does anyone know what that was? Jeremy? No, okay. So this guy invented this. So the iPhone, which came out in 2007, changed everything. It put the internet in people's pockets. It gave them mobility. It meant we were always connected. And as a consequence, productivity started to really increase dramatically, as did demand. So demand increased, productivity increased, so on and so forth. So all of a sudden, we found that we were working super hard just to stand still. So this throws up the question, how do we get more efficient in the way that we work, rather than just produce more stuff? So there's a fantastic research piece by McKinsey's, and they looked at which areas of work are suitable for automation. If you look at this chart in the yellow boxes, you can see that repeatable physical work, so repeating the same thing day in, day out, that is easy to automate. And then interestingly, data, the collection of data and the processing of data. And in that, I would also include assets and files. These are all kind of related subject matter. So data and these parts of daily workly life are very easy to automate. So if we think about what kind of roles people might have that could be automated, you can see here, at that top left-hand corner, only 5% of roles could be completely automated. So if you are a sewing machine operator, are there any in the house? No? Okay. If you're a sewing machine operator, you are fucked, right? You have not got a career. However, if you are the CEO of a sewing machine business, then you're okay, because only 30% of your role can be automated. But I think this is really interesting, because it means in most of our roles, there are big chunks of what we do, 30% of our daily lives could be automated. And I think most people would see that as a positive thing, right? Something that they could really, I think, benefit from, both personally and also from a professional perspective. So if we then think about which sectors lend themselves to automation, so if we think about our industry, so we're in the technology, media, and telecoms industry, we are the second highest ranking sector that could be automated. So we're just behind accommodation and food services. Interestingly and slightly ironically, at the bottom, we've got administrative and government, very, very low propensity for automation. But within our industry, huge opportunity for automation. Thinking about what we actually do in our daily lives, you can see here, on the left-hand side, this is the amount of time we spend doing stuff. So data processing, data collection, nearly 40% of our daily life is spent in that area, and 70% of that work could be automated. So there's a big opportunity here for automation in our sector. and even stakeholder interactions. So that could be updates, that could be approval processes. All of these things could be automated. And I think if you think about your own business, we've probably got a real mixture of cutting-edge technology alongside pretty random processes that just happen and have done for a long time. So if you think about the sort of the traditional media plan on an Excel spreadsheet, working with a team of people who are working on a on a buy-side platform using the latest technology, it's a strange combination, right? You've got very, very mundane, boring, repetitive work alongside cutting-edge technology. And I think this this clip is a good example for me of what life looks like. And I'll give a free drink to anyone who can tell me what the film is. I think every business has a Mr. Kurtzman somewhere, doesn't it? So combination of, paper going everywhere, old processes alongside technology coming through. So the big question is, could a machine do your job? Well, unless you're a sewing machine operator, the good news is no, but technology and automation can do big chunks of your job, and I think that's the really important thing. And lots of things to look forward to, and I think lots of things to be excited about, because these are opportunities for the work that you do to change. So this is a fantastic survey that Forbes did that looked at people and thinking about the time that they waste. So how much of your time do you waste doing stuff that you simply should not need to do? So 40% of people are spending time, a quarter of their time, on repetitive tasks, emails, data collection, data entry. Again, data comes through again. 70% of people say that if they could swap out repetitive tasks, that will make a massive difference to their day. And that includes stakeholder management as well as data entry. And then finally, 60% of people say that they could save 6 hours a week just by binning lots of these repetitive tasks and using that time on high-value activities. So think about what you could do if you had 6 hours back every week, where you could spend that time in high-value activity. So that all sounds fantastic until this happens. So COVID arrives, and COVID changes everything. So COVID has increased the amount of time we spend working from home, the amount of time we spend in virtual meetings. Some of them are good, some of them aren't so good. Home-based technology can be a bit patchy. E-commerce, think of the amount of stuff that you now buy online that you didn't do before. Think about the brands you now use that you didn't use before. Working from home means that probably more people are doing more work, right? There's fewer people doing the same work that you were doing before, so you've got to increase pressure on you to do more work. And your work-life balance might be better. In fact, your work-life balance has probably increased, but your workload has probably gone up. Interestingly, at a corporate level, investment in AI and automation has gone up significantly as a consequence of COVID. On the downside, commuting has gone down, business travel has gone down, office space has gone down. There's less office space now because people are rethinking how they work. Those social moments around the water cooler, they've all gone, right? We don't get those anymore. Sense of worth. Are you doing a good job? Are you doing work that is valuable? Are you being valued? Do you know? Is your boss saying to you, you're doing a great job, or you just assume that he hopes you are? Sick days, interestingly, have massively declined as well. And work-home separation. Many people say, I feel like I'm sleeping at work, which is true, because you are. But the adoption of automation has gone down dramatically. So investment in automation has gone up, adoption down massively. So why is that? Well, it might blow your mind, but there are some significant barriers when you change the way that people work. There might be regulatory. You might have to tread very carefully around the user experience. You require organizational process change, communication change. You need to constantly communicate the reasons why you're making changes to automation. You've got the COVID impact. Do we tread more carefully because we've got a distributed workforce? And you can't do this in isolation. You have to take the whole organization with you. You have to take people with you, and people have to buy into this stuff. And it's a hard habit to break. Doing things the way you've always done it, having your media plans on Excel spreadsheets is really hard to change. But unless you do change it, you're going to be constantly doing the same old work in the same old way, and nothing will get better. So a good example of this is a report that CoLab did, and they looked at media agencies, creative agencies, and they asked the question, what are the big pain points that you have? What are the things that get stuck? And getting digital campaigns live, bizarrely, takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. And you can see here some of the key things: sourcing of assets, preparing of formats, the distribution quality, and then the tracking and the visibility of what's going on. All of these score incredibly highly as pain points, and all of these things can be automated very, very simply. But it requires effort to do so. So in summary, what have we learned? Well, we've learned that the world is different. Life goes on, life is super fast paced, attention spans have gone down. So all of those sort of 19th century, 20th century views of how we would be sitting there with our feet up, sipping cocktails is completely wrong, right? They got that bit wrong. Very few jobs can be eliminated unless you are a sewing machine operator, but big chunks of your work can be automated, can be taken away. And it's really important that you recognize that and push that. If you want to scale your business, if you want to be in a growth business, you have to automate. Throwing people at the problem is not going to allow you to scale your business. And it's a process. It's not a quick fix. You have to take the organization with you. And finally, if you don't do this, then as I said before, you will be doing the same work the same way, and your competitors who are investing and who are adopting will forge ahead of you, and that will be your competitive disadvantage. So my advice would be automate or be eliminated. Thank you.
Well done. Very interesting, and quite timely as well, because I'm assuming, we've gone through these 18 months of COVID. Some of us starting to find a bit more of a routine in terms of working from home or remote working. Do you think we're going into a period of automation at home now, or do you think it's just hard to implement it when people are dispersed?
I think we will, because I think companies have invested heavily. I think the adoption is made more difficult with a distributed workforce, but I think as people start to return to the office, you can create that sense of community, that sense of momentum behind the business, and I think there will be a massive push to automation, because if you don't, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah. There's an opportunity to ask questions, by the way, on the app, so please do make the most of that. But I've got another question for you in terms of, for brands, it's quite hard to, in some ways, like automation saves a lot of time, but to automate something, you need a huge amount of resource and time to get it all set up, right? Yeah. Do you have any advice to companies in terms of how do you get going on this journey? How do you make time for this, all of that?
I think the communication and the planning is key. There will be an initial investment of time and resource to get a new system, to get a new process in place, right? So there'll be a period of time where you're doing two things in order to get the work done. But it's a short-term issue, and I think you just have to commit to it.
Yeah.
And recognize that if you don't do it, the job and the sort of the stress on your existing structure, the way you work, will get increasingly more difficult, because let's face it, there is going to be more stuff in the ecosystem tomorrow than there was today. So unless you're planning for that and can cope with it, then you'll get left behind.
Yeah. And from a Peach perspective, what's the way that brands normally kick off their engagement with you? Like, where do you get started? What would be a normal brief for you to start things off with?
So I think brands have seen that TV, linear TV, BVOD TV works really well. Most media agencies don't worry about those assets. Those assets just go to the broadcast environment very easily. Whereas in digital, it's the complete opposite. You would expect digital to be super fast, super efficient. It's the complete opposite. It takes 10 times as long to get a digital campaign live than it does a linear campaign. Right? That can't be right. So that's why brands are increasingly asking the question, why can't they operate in a similar way? And so part of what we do is we help them to achieve that.
Okay, very cool. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.